Hello and welcome to Football Voices, an SNN Sports Scottish football podcast. I'm Aidan Gilbride and joined alongside me is a very happy Rangers fan, Jack Cranmer. Jack.
Ding dong, the witch is dead.
That's a bit harsh. But yes, we'll obviously get into that. But I think we'll just start off with the whole league in general. Let's talk about what has been going on since we last sat down and spoke. So I think good place to start is Hearts.
The Jam Tarts.
Yeah, Jam Tarts. You got to say, for the Jambos, everyone seems to be really good feeling at the club. The fans are loving the football. The football that's been played is great. They're happy with their manager. They've got a great backing at boardroom level. Really good time to be a Jam Tarts fan.
Yeah, and I've been really surprised. Everyone mocked Tony Bloom's comments about challenging within, I think it was 5 years at the start of the season. They look like they could be doing it a lot sooner than that. And the difference is Hearts, I might be too young to remember, I certainly am, but I've looked back on it. Their 2005-06 season, they split the Old Firm and they could have won the league that year had they not had a mental owner who sacked their manager a quarter of the way through the season. But I think now they've got a good structure, they've got a very competent and very seasoned SPFL manager. The only question mark is, can he and can this squad do over the course of the season?
Yeah, I think it's really interesting you bringing up that 2005-2006 squad, because I remember that so fondly. That was like Rudy Scaccio and all that. They were really it was electric players and they played really good football. And that year they did split the Old Firm. I still think it's more likely they split the Old Firm, and it's not me doubting Hearts at all. I just think
doubting Rangers.
It's over the course of a season. I still go, is there enough there to withstand the whole season? What I will say, if we're comparing them to what we were saying about Aberdeen at this point last year, I think they have a far stronger setup at Hearts than they do at Aberdeen. Aberdeen had a really good starting lineup last year, but I would say that Hearts have a great lineup and a great bench.
Yeah, and they've done a really good business transfer market, and this is what Tony Bloom's done at Brighton and USG in Belgium. They find these markets that are maybe underutilised and they find some gems in them, and he's used the budget he's got to bring them into Hearts, and they've hit the ground running. I mean, it was, I don't mean to go back to Rangers, but Philippe Clement last year at Rangers had this thing where all his signings took 6-8 weeks to get up to speed. Hearts don't have that. Their signings are hitting the ground running. I seen them in the Premier Sports Cup at home at Dumbarton, and you could tell from them, I didn't think they were going to be where they are now, but you could tell they were going to have a strong season. My only worry is, are they going to get a nosebleed when they have to go to Celtic Park? Are they going to be able to grind it out?
Yeah, see, this is what I think as well. Last year, Aberdeen were in an amazing run of form. They went to Parkhead and they debatably could have taken that game. Then they met Celtic in the semi-final at Hampden, and that was the nosebleed that you're talking about. And from then on, Aberdeen went on a bit of a downward trajectory. So you have to wonder, if Hearts can keep it up, then that's fine and good. But is it going to take maybe a little bit of a statement win from one of those Old Firm sides to kind of just remind them how difficult it is to actually win this league?
Well, they did go to Ibrox and win, but I think that maybe is more down to Rangers' failings than Hearts' success. Now, don't get me wrong, it's a great win, but I think Celtic is going to be the big test on them. Rangers could come back, just depends on what happens. It's a lot of speculation, but Celtic are the test for Hearts. And I don't think they necessarily need to go to Parkhead and win. They could get a draw. But I think if they go to Parkhead and Celtic win, or win comfortably at least, then it might put it down on Hearts. And there's that thing, Celtic have got a squad. It's been the reason they beat Rangers a lot over the past few years. They've got a squad that's used to winning. They've got experience at that top level. Hearts, like Rangers over the past few years, don't have that. They don't have the experience of being at the mountaintop. So they might, if they can see Celtic coming right up their tail, start to shudder.
And there's that familiar thing everyone talks about, what Sir Alex Ferguson used to say back in the 80s. If you can go to Glasgow and win, you've got a great chance of winning this league. So I think it'll be interesting to see where they go from here. It's still very, very early days. But yeah, honestly, they're playing some great football. Like you said, some great players have came in. I'm a big fan of Braga. I think he looks great. Shankland looks back to his best. So I think that's what confidence can kind of do for you as well. And they're riding that train right now. Shall we maybe take a look across to the other side of Edinburgh, Hibs? What a good feeling about Hibs at the start of the season, and it kind of continued a little bit until now. I think it's maybe a time to talk about Hibs. Yeah. We were discussing off camera, they're on the same points as Rangers.
Yeah, same record, I believe, 1-1, load of draws and one defeat to Hearts at the weekend. Obviously Craig Halkett getting the injury time winner, but your Rangers, I know Rangers got a bigger budget, but they've got the same record. But Hibs aren't getting the same criticism Rangers are getting for having that record. Now, admittedly, I do believe Hibs have probably had a bit of a tougher start. I don't think Rangers could ask for a better start. Hibs, though, after the heights of last season, it seems as if they're coming back down the way a little bit.
Yeah, I think for me, the stark difference is that Hibs across the pitch at the end of last season were strong everywhere. And they look pretty weak at the back now, and they are, they just don't look as confident as they were at the end of last season. So see where David Gray goes from there. But we've seen what this Hibs side can do when they really fully turn up, and I think maybe all it takes is a good statement win from them, and you never know what could happen. But yeah,
I do think their summer business was decent. Josh Mulligan on paper is a great bit of business. I just feel like they had a winning formula last season, and I feel like they may have been trying to go up that next level. They spent a bit of money, but I just feel like they had something good, and maybe they've done a wee bit too much tinkering with it.
Yeah, I agree with you with regards to the transfer window. I actually would have said that I think Hibs had one of the best transfer windows. They kept the players that were critical to them last season and brought in some good talent as well. So I think, I still think that top four will be Glasgow and Edinburgh. I still, regardless of where it is right now, I still think that.
Yeah.
So will we take ourselves across to Ayrshire? So Kilmarnock hadn't won a single game. 2 wins back to back. A great win against St Mirren. St Mirren a hard team to beat now. Things going well for Stuart Kettlewell.
Yeah, what a job he's doing. There was a lot of criticism about the appointment after the way he left Motherwell. Could he handle the pressure? Kilmarnock fans are notoriously annoyed at their team. I don't think I'm out of saying that. We've all seen some clips online, but they're notoriously hard to impress. They're a club that have been underperforming for a good while now, really since Steve Clarke left. And he's come in, had heavy criticism, but I think he went about his business in the transfer window quite well. A lot of it was like for like, but I do feel that they've done a good job, and they're starting to push their way up the table. I don't think they're going to be worrying the teams for Europe. Still think St Mirren and Dundee United will be the 2 in that 5th and 6th spot, but Kilmarnock will be well clear of relegation this year.
I definitely think so. Initially, when the appointment was made, I wasn't sure what I thought about the Kettlewell appointment, but I think the one thing you can say about Stuart Kettlewell is he does very well with young players, and Kilmarnock have always had quite a good youth setup. Derek McInnes is another manager who works really well with youth talent and bringing them through. So I think for that point of view, I think he's done a good job so far, and I think he'll breed success with that. So let's head up to the northeast. Aberdeen, who could not win a game, I don't know if you managed to catch their performance against Shakhtar. I thought they were very unlucky against Shakhtar. In the end, Shakhtar showed that they were the better side, but I have to say that performance seems to have had a little bit of a kickstart into that Aberdeen side. Yeah,
it certainly does. They were unlucky. The clash just kind of showed at the end, but it was a much improved performance because Jimmy Tulloon was very close to being out on his backside. In terms of the Aberdeen support, they were not happy with him. You mentioned last year after the draw at Parkhead, there was a downward spiral after the cup game against Celtic, which I think has been glossed over with the cup final win. But yeah, they've improved. Thank God for Stephen Presley's Dundee. I think that is probably going to keep both Rangers and Aberdeen out of the relegation places. But a very good performance. But I will couple that with Dundee are slightly on the slide now after a decent start, a better start than Stephen Presley would expect to have. I think the real test is going to be, can he continue that next week?
That's what I was about to say. It's very fine and good. They're probably the most out of form team is Dundee, and they did. I think what the biggest compliment is Aberdeen were struggling to score goals, and they scored 4 goals, and potentially could have been more against Dundee. Dundee, what I think, unfortunately, it's a tough thing to say, but were I think a lot of people's favourites to go down. They had a good, decent start, probably a start that people didn't expect, but it seems to be going a little bit pear-shaped now. So it'll be interesting to see if Stephen Presley can kind of get them back to that the kind of performance they were putting in at the start of the season. We'll just see what happens with Aberdeen then, and see if Jimmy Tulloon can keep himself in that job. Will we then just fire ourselves? We'll touch on Celtic. Celtic, again, you mentioned off camera, another last minute goal, another last minute win. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, so Celtic at boardroom level and on the pitch are, for me, just getting by.
Yeah, I agree.
Over the last few years, I think they've been fortunate at how poor Rangers have been, where they've been able to kind of coast through games and get these last-minute winners, and because they're not feeling the pressure of someone breathing down their neck, where they can play their own game, they can get these last-minute winners. But it's the same at boardroom level. They're not doing enough to pull away, and on the pitch, they're not doing enough to pull away. And eventually, that could bite you. Both, we've seen it with the European performances with the boardroom level, and we could have seen it very easily at the weekend on the pitch with that performance against Motherwell.
Yeah, no, do you know what? Credit where credit's due to Motherwell. They said they were going to come out. We're going to go for it. We want the win at Parkhead, and to be fair, they were not far off for a while. Celtic, the one credit I will give to that performance is, I think Celtic a couple of games ago would have lost that game. So to come back in the way they did, fair enough. And I think also Dyson Maeda getting on the score sheet again was massive for him and massive for the fans, I think, as well. Been a little bit uneasy, obviously, him announcing that he had his intention to leave. So for him to get on the score sheet, I think, was very important for everything at Celtic right now. If he can get himself back into good form, we know what he can do. Yeah. So for sure, no, Celtic still, but Hearts at the top of the league, sitting nicely.
Unfortunately, before clear at one point.
Yeah, no, definitely. Right, let's take ourselves to Govan. You were at the game of what eventually was Russell Martin's last game in charge as he was sacked subsequently after. What's your overall thoughts on the game? There was a lot made about the toxicity afterwards, the bus. Obviously, I'm being escorted off by the police. What's your overall thoughts?
Long time coming. Should have happened after Bruges. On the game itself, usual slow start. These teams know they can hit Rangers. Rangers are slow starters. They come out, these teams attack them, and they struggle. I mean, that's how I'm good if you're going to Parkhead or Pittodrie. Yeah. It's Falkirk Stadium. They just come up. You should be going out there and imposing yourself on these teams. Falkirk come out of traps. Could have had a goal early on. Jack Bilton makes a good save from Ross McKeever. Then Rangers do what they do under Martin. They come into the game, they start to play some good stuff. They get their goal through Miovski, a very, very good goal. I'm very impressed with Derek Cornelius operating at left back. And you think, right, come out in the second half. They don't. It's a slow start. And you see Falkirk are expecting Rangers sort of to rampage out. They don't. And Falkirk come into the game more. The midfield is all over the place. There is no shape. Well, there was no shape to it under Martin. And you've seen that with Henry Cartwright just gliding through and unleashing a shot. And it's 1-1. Rangers throw the style of play at the bus in the last 10 minutes. The tactics go in the wind. And that's what Russell Martin's hired to do. And it's not working. He's had to throw it away every single time. And unlike Livingston, the same game as Livingston without the last minute winner. And yeah, it's been weeks in the making. He's well outstayed his welcome. Yeah. And I was in the press conference after I was fortunate enough to attend for SNN. He looked an unwell man. Do
you think it's good for both parties?
Yes, I think it's best for both. Not that he looked sort of mental-wise, he just looked tired. Yeah. He looked like it was taking his toll on him, and I think it's best for everyone. And the interesting thing was the media director, press officer at Rangers cut both his post-match and Joe Roth's post-match at 3 minutes. When the questions started to go on in the manager's future, it was cut, and that kind of signalled it. But an interesting point Joe Rothwell made, Russell Martin spoke about mentality and anxiety. Joe Rothwell was asked about that, and he said, there's no anxiety. So that's one of Martin's lieutenants, and he denied these anxiety claims. And you can sense the unrest from the stands, there's constant chants. Yeah. You can sense the unrest now within the playing squad, and you can sense the unrest against him from the media. No one was on his side other than Kevin Fell and Patrick Stewart, but that finally seems like it's subsided.
What was for me? I just think that it, like you said, it went on too long. But I would also say, I don't think behaviour was justified afterwards. I mean, he's a man, he's a human being at the end of the day, and regardless of whether or not you're unhappy with his time as the manager. Is it right to surround a bus? Is it right that a manager should have to be escorted off by the police? And I just think this has been frustration that has been built up for weeks and weeks and weeks.
I think it's well intentioned, trying to make a point, but it's the wrong way to go about it. It's verging on illegal. It's harassment. It's not the right way to go about it. I understand the methodology behind it. They they want to be heard because they don't feel heard. They've not felt heard the Rangers support have not felt heard for weeks, nigh on months now. They have been telling this board this is not going to work, and the support know Rangers better than these new owners or this new set up on top. It just wasn't going to work. He's not the right character. Take away the results and the points. He's not the right character to lead
I don't
Rangers.
think he's not. He never really, in any press conference, it's not a criticism on him as a character. He never struck me as an inspiring character, someone you'd want to run through a brick wall.
He never took responsibility either. He was very nonchalant, and he never looked to build a relationship with the fans, which is something you need to do.
I think his take on that was that from the get-go he wasn't accepted. He never felt accepted.
I don't agree with that. I'm a Rangers fan, and it wasn't my first choice. But my thought was, right, he's here now. Let's get behind him, and we were. But then,
what you were seeing on the pitch isn't what you wanted.
You couldn't support it anymore, and that Bruges result just sent everyone over the edge.
So before we just quickly touch on who next.
I know who I want.
Before we touch on who next, let's address the elephant in the room. But you have to say one thing. Russell Martin was given quite a lot of money to spend. He's brought in a lot of players, and this seems to be a recurring theme at Ibrox, which so many players are brought in and then are left with the other manager having to pick up the pieces of that. Is there not a hint that the players have to take some sort of accountability?
Yes and no. I think the players have underperformed, but I don't think they were set up in a way where they could perform. I think Stevie Clifford in the press conference said they don't look coached. I would say they look overcoached. I thought they went out there and they looked like they had too much information. They were trying to remember. Right. Instead of playing a natural game, they were too busy thinking, where am I supposed to be? Oh, I should be there, he should be there. They tried to overplay the game, whereas you need to have some tactical input, but you also need to let players go out and play and do what they're good at, which they weren't able to do under Martin.
So, let's talk about who next. There's so many candidates you could talk about. Obviously, some people have suggested Derek McInnes for the job that he has done at Hearts and also other clubs. Also the fact that it is known that he was obviously a Rangers fan growing up. But for me, I just think he's got a good setup at Hearts. You know, I see him as I think he's got a good head on him, McInnes. I would like to think that he would look at the setup he's got at Hearts and think, I don't want to go to a job of uncertainty right now. I think most people, obviously today, the discussion is Steven Gerrard, the return of Steven Gerrard. Now, I'm really interested to get your take on this, Shaq, because I think me and you will probably completely disagree on this, but I'm happy to hear what you have to say.
So, Steven Gerrard, first time took over. I'm going to be out here. He would be my choice at the moment from the list of candidates. I would probably maybe verge on Kevin Muscat, but the timing's not right on that, and we can't afford to wait about for him. So, Steven Gerrard, when he took over Rangers, they were a mess. In one transfer window, he took them from a team that were losing to the fourth best team in Luxembourg in Europe and having to draw with Hibs on the final day to secure third place, to a team that could compete with Celtic. They didn't compete with them over the league, but they lost the game by 1 goal in both defeats to them that year. They beat them twice. He took them through every round of European qualifying into the European group stages. The next year he built on that. He took them to, I think it was quarterfinals of the Europa League. And now we can talk about the cup situation, and it is a glaring issue, and he's admitted it's a glaring issue. But he has spoken about unfinished business, and I think that would be the unfinished business he looks to address. But I think Rangers improved year on year under him. I think you could, while we weren't winning trophies, the fans put up with it because they could see the steady progress. The team was getting better, the tactics were getting better, we're improving in every competition. And then he did win the league. And now you can make the argument about the COVID season and everything, but I think it's a 25-point lead he won the league by. You can make an argument that fans may have reduced, having fans there, the pressure may have reduced that. Yeah. But I think if you're winning the league by 25 points, conceding 13 goals, you're going to win it regardless.
Yeah, no, listen, my biggest compliments, I guess, with Steven Gerrard is that I think that league season where he did win the league, you can talk about, you know, fans like to say, Rangers, when Rangers fans are in the stadium and things aren't going well, it's a lot harder. But for me, I just think the best thing that he did that season was barely conceded a goal. Yeah. The defence was rock solid, and if you can develop a team that just doesn't let in goals, you only have to solve one more thing. Yeah. And to be fair, I think that is the biggest compliment I give him. For me, and it's like, I know it's a really out there thing to say, the only positive thing I can see about this is you know what you're going to get with Steven Gerrard because you've experienced it before. What for me is another quick positive is he's probably coming into potentially a league that isn't as strong as it was in terms of a Celtic than it was last time. So Gerrard might be looking at this and thinking, I could claw those points back, and I could maybe, as you said, get some unfinished business. But for me, I just think the glaringly obvious thing is that St Johnstone won more trophies than him in his time at Rangers, and I think that's a very obvious thing to state.
Yeah, but I do feel that a cup win, and he knows his cup record was awful. It was very frustrating, but I think a league, to do what he did in that league phase, and I stand by the fact that Rangers were in a very good position when he departed the next season. While Celtic were still starting out under Postecoglou, I think he probably would carry on and probably take that at least to the wire, if not win it that season. But the thing about Gerrard is he would unite the Rangers fans. He's not wanted by every fan, but he's the outstanding candidate and the one most wanted by the fans. And I think right now the Rangers board needs to make a positive decision, and one that will get them support from the fans. And I think the best appointment they can make, and the one the fans will get behind the most right now, is Steven Gerrard.
I tend to agree with that. I mean, there's obviously other ones that have been rumoured, like bring back obviously Barry Ferguson and his motley crew from last season. But I think you're probably right. As much as I could say that I'm not sure about that move, I can't really see one that's going to stabilise things more than Gerrard, because, like you said, I think the fans is what they have to cool off the fans here, and I think bringing back Gerrard will kind of, because Rangers fans really look back on Gerrard very fondly because of what he managed to do. He managed to stop Celtic doing 10 in a row, and he brought back a league title after everything that had happened. He brought back a league title to Ibrox. So I think it would unite the Rangers fans. I just don't know whether or not I'm still unsure whether or not it's the right move. So we'll just see what happens there. I think good time to take our eyes away from club action. Let's talk about international football. International football is back. It's obviously the World Cup qualifiers, Jack, in Scotland are at home this time. 2 home games. We've obviously got Greece coming up tomorrow night. What's your overall thoughts, I guess, on things?
Well, it's a Steve Clark Scotland team. I don't know what we're going to get.
It's a lottery, isn't it?
It's like Forrest Gump said, it's like a box of chocolates. You don't know what you're going to get. I don't know. I think, I don't know. Like a lot of Scotland fans, I thought Steve Clark had run his course, and then he seems to get, when it gets to the point where everyone's going to turn, he gets a couple of wins. I don't think he should go beyond. I think he gets to the World Cup, see if we qualify or not, and then it should be time to shake hands, but I don't feel the SFA will, because it's the SFA, and when did he ever make the right decision?
I think the really difficult thing is, I agree with you, I felt that Clark had ran his course as Scotland manager, but he is probably one of the more successful Scottish managers in the last very long time now. So,
but he's had the best group of players.
Yeah, I would say so, but I would say that's the problem. You finding a reason to sack a manager or ask him to move on. For me, like you said, I really don't know what I'm going to get from Scotland tomorrow night. Am I going to watch a substandard, boring performance, or am I going to watch the players that can be electric turn up? There are players on that team. One of the players ranked incredibly highly in the Ballon d'Or. Whatever you think about the Ballon d'Or, you have to look at McTominay's season. He has the right team to win these 2 games. I'm concerned about tomorrow night. I'm not sure about the Greece game. I'm more sure about the Belarus game than I am about
it would
Greece
be very
game.
Scotland to beat Greece and then lose to Belarus, however.
It's the Scotland way. We find new ways of losing all the time, and it really is what we've experienced growing up.
You beat France and lose to Georgia, that sort of thing. I do think. I think Scotland have these electric players like you mentioned, but I think the system they're played in under Steve Clark constricts them. And while I don't think they'll get rid of Clark now, I think after the World Cup qualifying, or after the World Cup we qualify, we should look at maybe, I know people don't like this in international management, a foreign manager with some more exotic ideas. I think we've been tied. I know we had the Bertie Vogts experiment that went completely wrong, but it's been 20 years. I think we need to expand our view on coaches, bring someone in who's going to get the best out of this. This is the best group of Scotland players probably since the 80s or 90s.
Yes.
we need to bring in a manager that'll play a system that'll get the best out of these guys.
And I think Scottish people we're a little bit more accepting of bringing in a foreign manager. Maybe down south are a little bit less inclined that way, but we'll see what happens with that. But I think these two games, it's very easy to say this about any sort of World Cup qualifier game, but I think these games are so important if Scotland want to put themselves in the position of making a World Cup. It's a World Cup that I think, people want them to qualify for. We've seen the progress getting to the Euros. Now's the time to make that next jump. Let's get to a World Cup. And there's never been an easier situation to make a World Cup with the amount of teams that can get in.
Well, that's why I was going to ask you that question. Do you think it devalues qualifying? Now, I know as Scotland fans we're going to love it. We're going to go there. Maybe not as so much in America, but certainly in Mexico at least. Going to have a great time, going to have a party. But do you think it devalues it a bit, the amount of teams have got in the World Cup these days as compared to it was maybe even 10 years ago?
I think if you asked me as a Scotland fan that had regularly seen my team qualifying for tournaments, I would say yes. But I think just putting my Scotland hat on for a second, I just want to see my country competing at a World Cup. I think it's something that I want to see. The last time Scotland competed at a World Cup, I was 2. Or no, I was 1. I was 1, so you probably weren't even born, Jack.
Well, was it the summer of '98? I was not even conceived.
Right, okay, well there you go. But I think for me it doesn't devalue it. I do understand the complaint from a kind of football fan point of view that it's now became too many teams are in it. There's
3 countries.
I know it's became very extra, I guess, as people would say. I guess one more thing to touch on with regards to that Scotland selection. I don't know about you. I've been critical over the years, especially when he has put on a Scotland shirt. I've been very disappointed in the way in which I feel like he's got an opportunity to make a statement, and that is Lawrence Shankland. Yep. I was very disappointed that he wasn't selected. I was happy that Kieran Bowie was selected, but I was disappointed that Lawrence Shankland wasn't selected. Does this go back to Steve Clarke just being too loyal to too many players in that setup?
Yeah, well, you're saying a 73-year-old Craig Gordon called up despite the fact he's not played a game.
Well, yeah, that was of course, a goalkeeping situation.
Anthony Ralston has never really covered himself in goal rate, but I think up front, Lawrence Shankland's the one in best form. Yeah. Lyndon Dykes, I understand for the style of play, but I think if you're looking at Bowie and Shankland, if it's got to be one or the other, I would personally like to have both, but the formation played, it's got to be one or the other. I think you take Shankland on form, 100%. It's Bowie, Nisbet, Shankland's clear of both for me, and he should be the one in the squad. I think you go on form.
Yeah, and I think as well. I think sooner or later it's got to work for Shankland. Yeah. The very unfortunate thing is he just has not turned up in a Scotland shirt yet. The problem is you're not giving him the opportunity to do that if you don't select him. So I just think it's very disappointing. Again, that is my number one complaint with Steve Clarke's Scotland side, that it seems to be just the same faces and the same people selected all the time. And I would like to see different people selected, i.e. people like Lawrence Shankland. Like I said, happy to see people like Kieran Bowie make that lineup, but or sort of make that selection. But yeah, I think that's might be my biggest complaint. And like you said, the goalkeeping situation. Do you want to touch on that quickly?
Yeah, so the 3 goalkeepers, Angus Gunn, Craig Gordon and Liam Kelly, none of them are first team goalkeepers. And I think there is a very obvious choice there in the Scottish Premiership. Now, Scott Bain was one of these goalkeepers that didn't play for years, but he's went to Falkirk, and I know Falkirk are near the bottom of the league, but Scott Bain has been outstanding, and he proved that again against Rangers. He has been playing every week for them, he's been performing well, he's at a good age, he's Scottish, and he's been in squads before, he's got a good mentality, he's won things at Celtic, he's a winner, as much as he didn't play. He did play a decent amount of games his first few years. I think he should be in that Scotland squad. I understand the Craig Gordon part. I do think it's a bit too much sentimentality. If he was still playing for Hearts, I would understand it.
If he was still regularly playing, I would understand it more. But he's not, and that's the case. Like I've got a lot of time for Craig Gordon. I think what a servant he has been in a Scotland shirt. But you've got to look to new blood. And for me, you can see what you like about Scott Bain's time at Celtic. But he's putting in good performances for Falkirk, and I think you've got to go off of players that are regularly playing too, and he's regularly playing, and I just think, why not pick him? Just as usual, that's the thing with Scotland. The number one debate is, why has he not been picked? Why has he been picked? And stuff like that. So that's
why is Anthony Niemi not playing?
But yeah, So I think it'll be interesting. Obviously, we've got Greece tomorrow night, and we've got Belarus at the weekend. So, what's your thoughts? Give me your predictions. Are Scotland going to get 2 wins? What are your thoughts?
I think Scotland will beat Greece and then they will draw to Belarus.
See, I think they'll draw against Greece and then I think they'll beat Belarus, and I still think that'll put Scotland in a good place.
Yeah.
So yes. Anyway, I think that'll tie us up from there, and we will see you real soon. I have been Aidan Gilbride.
Jack Cranmer.
This has been Football Voices. Please do write in with questions and feedback. Also, please like, share and subscribe. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and TikTok. Thank you to Charlie's Loft for hosting us tonight. Thank you very much. See you next time.